ProGeologist here. Today we're going to give you a short video based on ArcGIS in Microsoft 365. Specifically, we're going to focus on how you can bring XY coordinates into Excel using the ArcGIS for Excel extension. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so here I am. I've gone through and I have searched for ArcGIS for Microsoft 365. I found the ArcGIS for Excel, and in this case, I'm coming down in here, and I've got a bunch of instructions that Esri provides me. You notice there's this install and manage ArcGIS for Excel, and some of the other things that we can come down here and do is we can actually look at the required supporting software. Now, what's really cool about this, and I'm actually demoing this, as those who are astute and noticing this, I'm demoing this on a Mac. So this works in Mac for Excel, which is really great if you don't have access to a GIS, or you're not built in, if you will, to the Esri platform to dual boot. So instead what we're doing is we're going to come down here. We would come to the Windows app in the Microsoft Store. We'd click on that, open it up, and then we're going to go ahead and just download. Now it will require you to sign into a Windows account, whether that be a personal account or it be your work or school account. And you can go ahead and you can sign into that. That's plain and simple. From there, you get the option to download an Excel file. That Excel file will automatically insert, once you've opened it, it will automatically insert the extension for ArcGIS for Excel into your Excel files. So whenever you open Excel, that will also be an option. So we're going to switch here, and I'll show you what that looks like. This won't be very different if I run a PC or Linux, but just wanted to emphasize that this can totally be done on a Mac OS. I've got Excel for Mac open here, and I've got several data fields that I'm dealing with. Here I've got well API, well name, an X coordinate, a Y coordinate associated with it. I've got a depth also, and then I've got just kind of the general type of oil and gas well, because this is an oil and gas data set that I'm dealing with. And these are all the data that I really need if I want to plot these in an ArcGIS map. Rather than going into ArcGIS Pro and doing this, or into ArcGIS Online, I'm just going to do it directly here in Excel as intended. Now, one of the things to take note of is if you're doing this on a PC, you may need to go up into the insert options, and you may end up needing to choose the ArcGIS extension and toggling that on. Doing this in a Mac, all I had to do is actually open up that downloaded Excel file, sign into my work or school account, and then subsequently sign into my ArcGIS Online account, which is what is controlling my licensing. Okay, and maybe it's the same account for work and for school. Either way, you sign into those accounts, and now within a Mac, you'll automatically have the tab for ArcGIS right up here. And so if I open that tab up, and every time I open Excel, this tab is available. You notice it gives me options to show the map, to reset the map. It also lets me do a function builder. This is really powerful. Something that you'll be able to see a little bit later in another video is that we're looking at being able to use XY data. And with this function builder, you can use actual Excel functions to pull information in. So if I'm using my X and my Y, I might be able to use ArcGIS lookup and find an actual address associated with that X and that Y. So very powerful functionality just within Excel. Yeah, you need to know a little bit about coding, but hey, it's Excel coding, so it's not overly complex. So let's move forward with this. We've got help information, we've got a getting started tab, which is phenomenal. What we're going to do is we're going to click on show map. So the map pops up right here, and what I can do here is it gives me a couple of options. You'll notice I've got this little hamburger, if you will. Let me go ahead and expand this. And so our little hamburger here, our options, allow me to toggle things on, toggle things off. Here's a layers tab. So if I've already added layers to this particular extension, I can change my base map, I can search for things, and I can also run analyses. So once I've got full sign on, I can run certain analyses. I can also sign in to access the share, so I could totally share this information. And I can go ahead and look at my settings. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here to the layers tab. I can click on that, and it gives me a couple of options here. I can add layers here in. I can do so from ArcGIS Online. That includes the Living Atlas, as well as anything that I might have in my enterprise portal or my own ArcGIS Online account. I can also add from Excel. Before I do that, what I want to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to highlight my X and my Y columns. Now when I hit Excel, what this does is it pulls from my first tab. It lets me designate that I have headers that are present, and the location types are going to be coordinates. See how that's kind of narrowed it in. Yes, I can use a JSON geometry if you understand and know what that is. Now if I go for my X longitude, I can see that I've got an X value that is coinciding with my column H right here. And you'll also notice that when I click off of that and I no longer have my cells highlighted, I suddenly have all of my columns that are there available to use. So this is kind of cool. I can highlight this and it allows me to automatically filter what's going on. Let's go ahead and set my X. Let's go ahead and set my Y. Now here's the tricky part, spatial referencing, right? And folks that are dealing with Excel, they understand spatial referencing, but the big question, and even professionals ask this, what is the right coordinate system? How do I find out what it is? Well, you can scroll through this big long list day in, day out, and try to figure out what it is. You can try to search by name. As a matter of fact, if I do so here and I do something, I'm going to use a projected coordinate system, and I say I want to use NAD 270405, it may not find anything. So you say, well, why not use something else? Why not just use 0405? And here we are, but look, these are 1983 coordinates. For myself and for this particular project, I want to use projected NAD 27 State Plane, California, FIPS 0405, not 83. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've looked for the WKID. That is the Working Known Identifier. And I've pulled that up on Esri's website. There are other websites that you can do this with. And I'm simply going to plug in that number, and lo and behold, there's NAD 27 State Plane Coordinate System, Zone 5 in California. I'm going to go ahead and click that. I'm going to click Add to Map. It's going to run, and now my layers are shown in the map. I can come through here, and I can start to look at the data that are available, the X, the Y data. If I wanted to pull in all of my data, I could. That would be part of the pop-out. And so a lot of different options for how you want to get these data in here and how you want to use them. But pretty straightforward there. Again, what we've done is we've downloaded ArcGIS for Excel. We've opened that file, and again, we've done this on a Mac OS. And then we've turned around and we've opened up our file that we're working with. Gone through and found that we have that ArcGIS tab, opened up the map, simply highlighted our X and our Ys, went into layers within the map, and then selected the appropriate X and Y data fields, and boom, we've plotted these on a map. Now I can pan out to all my heart's content and desire, and I can see that I've got data plotted here within this map. So there'll be more to come. Well, we'll talk about that functionality, those built-in Excel functions, as I mentioned before, as well as getting over here to where we can run analyses. So stay tuned, and remember, we're doing all this not just to make your life a little bit easier and to make things streamlined, but it's also helping us to understand our data spatially and look through these data through the lens of GIS.